As y'all seen from the intro, we are covering Starlord, the main man himself. Legendary! If you play this game, you already know. Every time you hear that, you know it's aimbot central. It's lay him down and spray him down. So, this is the first DPS I really picked up and fell in love with. As you can see, I am a lord with him at in this game play because I spent a whole lot of time into him. So I do know what I'm talking about, I would like to say. So, before we get into how to play him, what he is, so on and so forth, I just want to say this is a Grandmaster quick play lobby. Okay, so this is not against your regular bum, so on and so forth. So this will not be a 27 in one game, so on and so forth. I will put like a little clip that I do that regularly, but in this game in particular, it was just Grandmaster. As I know in high level play, a lot of the time you're not pulling them ridiculous numbers off. It just is what it is. Now that all that bullshit is covered, let's get straight into it. Now, Starlord is a annihilating bruiser, is what I like to classify him as. He does an extreme amount of damage in a very short period of time by constant ticks through his ammo clip. Now, for those who don't know, I'll quickly summarize Starlord if you don't know his abilities. His L2 for me, again, I'm playing on PS5. His L2 is a instant reload off your clip. His alt fire is a 360 spin that automatically targets anyone within the area around you and does chip damage. His R1, which is his fly ability, which is that stamina bar that you see on the middle right hand corner, allows him to fly. And his alt basically turns him into an aimbot god. As long as you aim in a general direction, you can just hold the trigger. You can also backflip inside of that mode to instantly reload your guns, even though it is already speeded up. So, now all that's covered, let's get into it. Starlord, it does an amazing job at annihilating shields, tanks, and other DPSs. He is, I would say, he's the best DPS when it comes to brawling, as far as 1v1 situations, so on and so forth. As a Starlord, your job is to stick with your team. He plays a little bit differently than a couple other DPS, but you want to stick with your team, kind of be like the mid to front line-ish character. You do not want to flank too much with him unless you have your ult. As you see here, I grab a corner really quick, and then I start lasering all the low-level health, so on and so forth. Magic ends up getting on me. But I use this ascend ability to my finest advantage and get away from her. The reason why you don't want to strictly flank with Starlord unless you have immaculate aim, and I mean you hitting 99% of your clip with headshots, so on and so forth, is because he is extremely weak. And I mean, let's be honest, he's not a two-shot type of DPS. So if you're fighting anyone like Bucky, Hela, Hawkeye, Black Widow, those characters right there can basically instantly kill you. It is what it is. He's meant to stick with his tanks, his team, and just constantly chip away at the enemy shield and their health. He is I think I already said this, but he is especially effective against tanks because of how fast he can annihilate their health and be an annoyance. Now, with that's basically positioning covered. There is no really advanced combo to use. The main thing I can tell you, he's very simple in all honesty. He doesn't have really too much tech. It's just make sure your aim is on point, poke, and please use your backflip. If it's off a cooldown, use it to reload your guns. You don't want to save it too much because how fast it recharges, like 3-4 seconds, how fast it recharges, as well as it will amp up your DPS a second. So you put a whole clip down, you instantly backflip, do it all over again, and then backflip again. It also has invulnerability frames on it. When I say that, that means you're basically invincible. As y'all know, Cloak, when she hits her 360, she gains invincibility frame, so on and so forth. Starlord works the same way. So, if an ult is coming your way, whether it be Doctor Strange, Magneto, anything that's a hit tick type of thing, if you hit your backflip right before it touches you, you completely avoid all damage and everything within that ult. Little side note, I'm sure a lot of you already know that, but again, this is a how to play guide, so I kind of got to throw it in there. As far as playing him in general, again, like he's really not that difficult. Positioning wise, obviously stick with your team. Use his backflips to reload as needed, and don't be afraid to just fly around the map. Definitely use height to your advantage. And by height, I mean cliffs, ledges, so on and so forth. You want to use all this to the finest extent because he is a maneuverability type DPS. You do want to play kind of close to your enemy because there is a range drop off. Now I could be wrong, but I believe the range is 10 to 15 meters. That's when his damage starts dropping off. Another very important part of playing Starlord is if they have a Namor, a Moon Knight, anybody who throws down turrets, Raccoon, he throws his ult down like his healing or his resurrect. Anybody who throws down their stationary thing. Your job as a Starlord is to kill him as fast as possible. Because of how much damage he pumps out and how quick he does it, he is probably the best person to annihilate these annoyances in the game. And I promise you, your team may not notice immediately, but they will thank you. Another thing I want to cover is when, like, his ult in general. I would advise that you switch it. Again, this is personal preference. I usually have mine on circle. I end up switching that though. But switching his ult ability. And then switching your ping button. So for me, I use my left stick as my ping. My right stick obviously is like the chat emote and so on and so forth. And I put circle as my melee ability. The reason I did that is because while you're aiming around and zooming and doing all this, that, and the other, you're gonna want to ping, and you don't really want to move your stick and click it down while you're dashing around and zooming and this, that, and the other. It just makes it easier, honestly. So I would advise you moving your ping to something that's easily accessible that you don't have to basically take your thumbs off the stick for. Again, personal preference. You don't have to do it. It is what it is.
Put some pep in my step.
His ultimate. Now, what I want y'all to get used to. Please take this tip and engrave it into your mind deep. Do not fly straight up into the mid wide open air and hit your ultimate. Now, why wouldn't I want to do that? Because one, nobody is stupid enough in this game to let you just go straight into the air and hit your ult. They're gonna kill you. Now there is a range to where his automatic thing locks onto people. So, and there is a startup animation. Now, if y'all seen the previous videos and stuff, like past patches, you cannot animation cancel anymore with his ult, which means you have to take that startup, which is about a half a second to a second startup. You can get CC'd in his ult. It will not cancel the ult, but it will still take away your timer on it. So, you want to start off with pop your ult behind corners, with you in high ground. Just anywhere that does not put you at an immediate range of damage, preferably. And as another thing too, is they have a Doctor Strange. Please don't pop your ult in front of Doctor Strange because he will put up his shield and half your ult be wasted. You want to aim to pop your ult around the corners and around their team. What I like to do is I like to use my dash to get around to the backline area. As you see right here, I take height and I loop all the way around. Takes a little bit more time, but it's worth it. I see Luna up top. I'm going to pop this. You want to melt their healers first if possible. Any healers or DPSs, them the first people you want to hit. Now, after they're dead, then you can switch your line of sight to tanks. Anybody who's outside of like that immediate range. As well as be prepared to basically scrap. So, at times, a kill will get away, so on and so forth. You can chase, but I wouldn't go too crazy. I kind of mentioned this in positioning already, but it really is truly important to stick with your team. Not only for the fact that you can heal, but again, Starlord is not one of those people that just goes off by himself and does a crazy amount of damage and then comes back. He's not that kind of DPS. It will take time for your DPS to start kicking in. Again, he's the true definition of a DPS, his damage per second. He has a whole lot of potential, and he can kill an enemy with half of his clip if you get straight headshots. But let's be honest, in this game with all that's going on, most likely you're not going to get straight headshots. But you will definitely chip their health away, and you are going to be the core and the backbone to your team during team fights. As you can see, I'm keeping Dr. Strange's shield down, Spider-Man's being annoying in my back line, so I'm trying to do some damage where I can. And I'm also playing the corner and the point, that way they can't cap. Again, it kind of depends on, you know, the game or whatever. As well as, kind of I forgot to mention this in like the beginning section, but again, you know, I'm a little bit everywhere, you gotta excuse me. This is, you know, a little different for me because Starlord is really this simple. Not a whole lot I can really say about it, and this clip is longer than usual because, like I said, it was a lobby for the Grandmasters, so a little bit more tactical, a little bit more time. Now, I do want to take a second from actually talk about Starlord to the play I just made in this little part. Now, I told my team my ult was almost ready because I know, again, Starlord's ult can make or break a game depending on how you use it. I'm going to go ahead and on this right side to get a little bit of damage to get my ult off the Strange. I'm going to hit it and immediately shoot for the weak backline and the DPS. So I killed Miss Fantastic, Bucky, and Spider-Man. Now, Dr. Strange already had health, so they took care of him and ended up basically being a whole squad wipe and us winning this round. After we won this round, this was the turning point because I finally got them to start playing, you know, better than they were supposed to be at first. Because I don't know what was going on at first. But I was aware of their top player and how they played, so on and so forth, which was Magic. She was the hard counter for us originally, but you know, turned it around. With all that being said, we are closing towards the end of this video. This is probably going to be around 15 minutes, give or take. So I kind of want to do a recap of everything I talked about, a little refresher, and give some personal, you know, tips on and so forth in this last little bit. So, recap is Starlord is a annihilating bruiser. He is most effective at annihilating the tanks, the shields, or isolating / cleaning up the DPSs and or healers. Obviously, stick with your front line. You always want to be the mid to front. You never want to go out of your way to flank, unless you have your ult in order to guarantee kills. Do not pop your ultimate in the wide open because you will be countered, I promise, or the whole enemy team will hide around every nook, cranny, and corner possible. It's happened a lot, trust me. As well as know your matchups, what you can and you can't contest. As you can see here, I got a little greedy. I try to contest the Storm in their spawn and end up dying because of it. Bad positioning on my part, but you know, play with your team. Learn from your mistakes. As far as crosshair wise, I know a lot of people are really big on their crosshairs. I like to personally play with the dot because Starlord's gun pattern is very in a straight line-ish. It does have a little bit of spread on it, but I like to be able to see the full screen, so on and so forth. Again, take it how you will, play how you want, use the crosshair that you want, that you most feel comfortable with, as well as I would advise y'all lower your sensitivity a little bit. I play 141. I think y'all seen it in the beginning. 141 rotation and 100 vertical. You can play with it to you best fit. I would up your acceleration though, like the actual dead zone of your acceleration. I would up that, you know, so you can spin a little quicker. You don't want to go too fast out of your control, but you don't want to go too slow. That way you can whip around, so on and so forth. Personal tips is use your backflip every chance you got. If you would like, keep one in your pocket for important moments, but again, the recharge is fast, so if you see like you have a backflip and your other one's about to come up, just use it to reload your guns and keep the DPS up. Use the momentum and the leverage of your flying to quickly navigate in and out of the battlefield, make you a whole lot harder to kill, and also don't fly in a straight line, please. Use the ascend and descend, as well as when you're doing your 360 or his ult attack. Do it in your fly mode. You can activate your fly mode after you hit your 360 or during, and bounce up and down with the ascend and descend. It will make you a whole lot harder to kill, and it will help out tremendously. But we're coming to the end of the video. It's been your boy Dope Some. Tell a friend to tell a friend that it was back again. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Oh, before I let y'all go, we are currently at 115 subscribers when I'm recording this, which means the next couple uploads is probably about 4 or 5 uploads. I don't know. Sometime next week though, I should be doing the giveaway video to officially announce, you know, that whole ordeal, so on and so forth. But enjoy the rest of y'all day. I hope to catch y'all back next video, and peace.